Hey everyone, welcome to Unique Ways with Thomas Gerard, an audio podcast. Got a great guest on today. She's a design researcher and interaction designer specializing in community engagement and creative facilitation. Her current roles include co-director and board president of the Vancouver Design Nerds. Please join me in welcoming Jesi Carson. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me, Thomas.
Ready for 20 questions?
Sure, go for it.
Okay, question one. Tell me a little bit more about yourself. What do you do?
Thanks. Well, your introduction says a bit about it. I co-direct the Vancouver Design Nerds. We do a lot of community engaged work in the city of Vancouver in a couple of different ways. One would be through projects and sort of self-initiated art and design installations in the public realm, typically. And the other side of that is hosting design jam events using design thinking methods to engage folks in collective ideation and problem solving. Yeah, I guess our mandate is to make the city more awesome in various ways. So we have a lot of fun doing that. I also work for a project called Participedia, which studies participatory democracy around the world. And through that have launched the Global Classroom for Democracy Innovation, which kind of brings worlds colliding, a little bit of my VDN work and Participedia work together, engaging students in co-design virtually across the world. So yeah, a little bit about me. Thanks.
Great. Just a note for the audience, we're recording here in Vancouver, Canada on my side, but in this episode, it's also on the guest side. So we're fully in Vancouver. So question two, what's a key piece of knowledge that makes you different?
Well, I've been reminded recently, and I've heard this in the past, but it's coming up again in my work lately, to move at the speed of trust.
Interesting. Okay. Question three, why this of all things? Why do you do what you do?
Well, I think moving at the speed of trust is really important in doing any kind of community engaged work and facilitation, uh, especially when you're trying to have a design justice lens in the work that we do at the Design Nerds. We really try to put community at the heart of things and ensure that when we're working in community, the folks who are at the heart of the issue are really the experts. They're the ones leading. And that involves a lot of trust. That involves relationship building and sort of digging deeper and taking the time that it needs to get work done together and to facilitate collaboration.
Great. And one more note for the audience, just on that note, our recent guest, Rachel Botsman, has most recently been the Oxford Trust Fellow at University of Oxford at their business school there. Check out that episode. So question four, what does your future look like?
I mean, nobody really knows. I've got a lot going on. I'm a mother, so momming is my future, and I'm helping my daughter grow up in a bit of a crazy world. I've been looking at doing a PhD potentially, kind of bringing together interests in political science and design, and this type of collaborative work together. The Design Nerds is also growing. We're looking at kind of growing our practice into more consulting roles, a bit more design research with concrete outcomes, in addition to just like our events that are for fun. We're working right now on a project with the city of Vancouver called Connecting Through Space, and we're researching kind of helping the city to figure out plans for future co-location spaces for nonprofit organizations. So yeah, we're looking to grow into kind of larger projects that require more of the team to get involved. Also, our membership is growing. We've got a lot of new nerds on the team lately. So yeah, I guess generally just keeping working on those projects and yeah, moving along forward.
Great. And five, we say is unique to this show. The question is, let's talk about location. How does the notion of place play into what you do?
Yeah, place is a big one for me. It's always been a research interest of mine, even at kind of early days at Emily Carr. I think you go there too, or went there as well, Thomas, perhaps.
Yeah,
Uh,
undergrad.
nice, yeah, me too, and masters. And I've both iterations of that experience. I've worked in kind of this reclaiming underused public spaces or orphan spaces, as City Studio called it, and kind of looking at how you can use space to transform communities and bringing people together to transform those spaces together. You can also be transformed yourself and building new connections and making new friends and finding new ways to move through these potentially really isolating urban spaces. So yeah, really interested in space and the right to the city. The Design Nerds, of course, is chapter-based. Vancouver's not our only chapter. We have chapters in other cities, so each chapter has a different way of making the city more awesome. That's really site-specific and location-specific. So we work in Vancouver in a bit of a different way than, say, Seattle Nerds would work or the Cape Town Design Nerds would work. But we all really inspire each other, I think, which is also exciting, and find ways to build connections across these places. And I guess maybe more deeply, and again, this is coming up lately with the City of Vancouver project. We're working with a really amazing consultant. Her name is Kimwa Blue Sky. She's Indigenous, and she's doing with us a lot of really great circle work. And bringing to that project, she's really helping us become more aware of a deep connection to the land and how that is so important when you're designing spaces, and how that should be at the foundation of any project really that is in a place, and looking at who was there before you, the history of those lands, and how that should be respected. So yeah, place is a big one for us, for sure.
Perfect. And six, if you had to start from the beginning, what advice would you give your former younger self?
Oh man, I don't know. I think this is hard. It's like maybe start the learning journey earlier. I think I grew up, I would say, in a place of privilege. I've always lived in Vancouver. I'm a white settler from settler heritage. And yeah, I don't think I really started becoming aware of this until my late teens, early 20s. And I think that can start a lot younger. I'm really inspired to see my daughter learning about Indigenous history in kindergarten at her public school, which is an amazing shift in the right direction. So yeah, start sooner.
Great. And what's a day in your life like?
Pretty standard. I mean, mom stuff, morning routine, getting her to school, that's a whole big thing. I work at a really awesome kind of co-location studio space called Slice of Light Gallery in East Van. So I usually go there during the day, do some morning meetings. I work with a lot of East Coast people, so most of my morning is on Zoom. Then I get some work done in the afternoon, pick up from school, do some evening activities and the bedtime routine, try to fit in a little yoga. It's basically the gist of it.
Great. And eight, lifelong learning is a popular topic. How do you stay up to date?
I guess a lot of ways. I'm a kind of a bookworm. I like to read a lot. So I'm always looking for new books and things I can listen to an audiobook as well. That's a big one for me recently. Of course, with the Design Nerds, I'm always kind of growing through the projects we do. There's a lot of different topics that we can encounter when we're doing design thinking, design jams, and community engaged work. So that's always an opportunity for growth and expansion. And I don't know, I like going to workshops and events if I can, when I'm not doing mom stuff. But I'm a big fan of like, SFU Public Square puts on a lot of great talks and things like that. So finding different ways to stay up to date.
Perfect. And tools. What tools do you use? Do you use digital and analog tools?
Definitely. I mean, post-it notes for anyone who does design thinking engagement, the sticky note is like the best thing ever. And I like the physical ones. Of course, we also use digital tools, especially when I'm collaborating with the Cape Town Design Nerds. We do a lot of our post-it notes digitally using Mural and Zoom. Yeah, I mean, the typical stuff. I'm all over Google Drive and all of that. So yeah, I do a lot of work digitally, but I do love a good post-it note.
Great. And halfway, number 10, work-life balance. How do you deal with it?
Honestly, I think it's being a mom that's brought me good balance. Funny enough, it's because I keep business hours now, making sure I get my daughter to school and then picking her up. I'm done. I'm done work at that point. I have to be a mom. So kind of helps me get my head out of that and into the home space, which is great.
Great. And if you aren't doing what you do now, what would you be doing?
I don't know. I mean, there was a moment in time where I was working with my partner, who's my now husband, Tianis, on this project where we were doing upcycled furniture design and interior design using all upcycled materials. So I might have ended up doing more of that if I hadn't kind of gotten to this fork in the road where I had to choose between two jobs. And one of them was Participedia, and the other one was this kind of like wood innovation research at Emily Carr. And I was like grappling with this. It felt like a real moment for me, but I decided to go down the digital path, go down to Participedia and like kind of expand my work in the political science space instead of staying in the materiality stuff with what we were doing before. So I think that was a big changed for me. But yeah, might have been a furniture designer. Who knows?
Nice. And 12, what would you not like to do with your career?
Well, I probably wouldn't want to work for a big corporation, I guess. I like to work in the nonprofit space, in the social change space.
Do you have a favorite word, quote, or sentence?
I really like this quote from Arturo Escobar. That's design is a conversation about being, doing, and knowing. I really like thinking about design like this. It's not about problem solving for me. Sometimes it's not even about making anything. It's about how we engage with each other and how we think together, and really being open to, as Escobar would say, the pluriverse, many worlds, and like lots of knowledges, and how those are all valid, and honoring that. So yeah, love that quote right now.
And how about a least favorite word, quote, or sentence?
Duh. Cis hetero capitalist patriarchy. Thank you very much.
If you had to pick one word to describe yourself, what word would it be?
A nerd. I mean, I'm a nerd in general, like I'm a bookworm and stuff, but also I guess the nerdiness, like the nerd glasses, our logo, everything that kind of, it's a bit of a metaphor as well, right? Seeing the world with a different lens. And I think that's what being involved with the nerds has given me. It's been really eye-opening, and it changed the way that I see the world. So yeah, I'm a nerd.
And what keeps you up at night?
I think a lot. Capitalism, the climate. No, I don't know. My daughter's future. I think about that a lot. I feel almost guilty for bringing a child into this world sometimes, but yeah, it can be hard and heavy.
Final stretch here. What's a dream you're chasing?
Well, bringing the positive side to that, I guess, a future for my daughter, right? Where we all, you know, learn how to take better care of each other, I guess is a good way to put it.
What inspires you?
I think stories, stories of solidarity and positive experiences and even struggles, to just know that, we're not alone in this, that the world is overwhelming, or it can be, but there's a lot going on out there. And you can see this on Participedia, like there's this giant database of all these incredible, inspiring ways that people are engaging in governance and engaging with each other to make the world a better place and to be more equitable. And yeah, I think stories are really important.
Any advice you'd like to share?
Connect with your community. Yeah, find community and foster it. I think that's the way forward for us.
And how can our listeners keep tabs on you? What's our call to action?
Well, we've got Design Nerds _van on Instagram and Twitter. Check us out there. We have a website, vancouver.designnerds.org, and you can sign up for our newsletter there. I myself, my name's Jesi with a Jesi, and you can find me at Jesi Carson Creative on Instagram.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I saw the nerd stuff come through my social media and I was like, I've got to get one of you guys on to the show. And yeah, just so happy to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Thomas. Love that.